The fluorescent lights of Electromart buzzed overhead as Deborah Wilkins, known as Karen behind her back by the exhausted retail staff, tapped her French manicured nails impatiently against the customer service counter. At 52, Deborah considered herself the neighborhood's unofficial quality control manager, a role that absolutely no one had asked her to fill. Today, her hair was freshly highlighted and styled into that distinctive angled bob that seemed to be the uniform of women who demanded to speak to managers across America. "Excuse me," she said for the third time, each repetition growing incrementally louder. "I've been waiting for 7 minutes now. Is customer service just a suggestion around here?" Mark Winters, the 23-year-old sales associate who'd drawn the short straw on desk duty, suppressed a sigh. "I'm so sorry for the wait, ma'am. As I mentioned, our manager is assisting another customer, but he'll be with you shortly." "Unacceptable," Deborah snapped, pulling out her phone and making a show of typing something. "I'm documenting this interaction for your corporate office. My time is valuable. I have a charity luncheon at 1. Mark nodded politely, the practiced retail smile never leaving his face even as his soul slowly shriveled. He'd been working at Electromart for 2 years now to pay his way through community college, and he could spot a storm brewing from a mile away. Deborah Wilkins was a Category 5 hurricane in designer slacks. What made this particular Tuesday worse was that Electromart was hosting a special event, a local Weather Channel presentation showcasing the store's new line of 8K televisions. A small crowd gathering near the central display area meant Mark couldn't even escape to help other customers. "Ma'am, while you're waiting, would you like to check out our special demonstration? Channel 7's meteorologist Aidan Reynolds is here today showing off our new—" "I'm not here to be distracted by your sales tactics," Deborah interrupted, but her eyes darted toward the growing crowd. The mention of the local celebrity had piqued her interest despite herself. In the center of the store, surrounded by a horseshoe of gleaming televisions, stood Aidan Reynolds, the 34-year-old weather presenter whose charming smile and accurate forecasts had made him something of a local celebrity. With his rolled-up shirt sleeves and easy manner, he was demonstrating how the new television's enhanced color range improved weather map visibility. "And as you can see on these new models, the difference in storm pattern recognition is remarkable," Aidan was saying, gesturing to the wall of screens behind him. "The precision allows viewers at home to better understand the weather systems affecting their neighborhoods." The small audience nodded appreciatively. A few people took photos, clearly more interested in the presenter than the presentation. Something in Deborah shifted. Without a word to Mark, she abandoned her position at the customer service desk and drifted toward the television display, her complaint momentarily forgotten. She positioned herself at the edge of the crowd, arms crossed, her expression a mixture of skepticism and curious interest. "Now who here has questions about these amazing new displays?" Aidan asked, his practiced broadcaster's voice carrying through the store. Deborah's hand shot up immediately, her face suddenly animated with purpose. Mark, watching from the customer service desk, felt a twinge of foreboding. He'd seen that look before, the look of someone who wasn't there to ask a question, but to make a statement. "Yes, the lady in the blue blazer," Aidan pointed to Deborah, his smile unwavering. Deborah cleared her throat, her voice projecting as though she were addressing a board meeting rather than asking a question in an electronics store. "Actually, I'd like to point out something you failed to mention about these so-called amazing displays." The crowd shifted uncomfortably. Aidan's smile faltered for just a fraction of a second before he recovered, unaware that his Tuesday afternoon demonstration was about to turn into an incident that would soon live in retail infamy across Reddit forums for years to come. The collective tension in Electromart's display area was palpable as Deborah Wilkins seized control of the demonstration. Aidan Reynolds maintained his professional composure, though a slight tightening around his eyes betrayed his discomfort. "These televisions," Deborah continued, her voice rising to ensure everyone could hear, "are manufactured by Courageinaction, correct? The same company that outsources all their labor to factories with questionable working conditions?" Aidan, who was hired to discuss weather visualization technology, not corporate ethics, cleared his throat. "I'm just here to demonstrate the display capabilities, ma'am. Perhaps one of the store representatives could better address." "So you don't know, or you don't care?" Deborah interrupted, stepping closer to the display area. "I find it interesting that a public figure like yourself would endorse products without researching where they come from." A few audience members shifted uncomfortably, while others pulled out phones, sensing the potential for viral content. Mark, still watching from the customer service desk, caught the eye of his manager, Dave, who had finally emerged from the back office. Dave gave an almost imperceptible nod, recognizing the situation needed intervention. "Ma'am," Aidan tried again, his broadcaster's smile now looking strained, "I'm a meteorologist with Channel 7. I'm here today because these displays show weather patterns with exceptional clarity, which can help people prepare for severe weather events. I don't represent—" My brother-in-law works in electronics manufacturing. Deborah cut in, now addressing the audience rather than Aiden. He says these new models are designed to fail after exactly 2 years. It's called planned obsolescence, people. An older man in the crowd nodded in agreement, emboldening Deborah further. And another thing, she continued, fishing a printed news article from her purse. Your forecast last Thursday said clear skies all weekend. My daughter's wedding was Sunday, and it rained for 20 minutes during the ceremony. The logical leap from television manufacturing ethics to personal weather grievances caught Aiden off guard. His professional training included handling complex meteorological questions, not defending himself against accusations from aggrieved mothers of the bride in electronic stores. Weather forecasting is probabilistic by nature, he explained gently. We provide the most accurate predictions possible based on available data, but weather systems can change unexpectedly. So you're admitting you were wrong. Deborah's voice took on a triumphant tone. Dave, the store manager, finally approached, clipboard in hand and customer service smile firmly in place. Ma'am, perhaps I can address some of your concerns about our products in a more private setting. This isn't about your products anymore, Deborah responded without taking her eyes off Aiden. This is about accountability. My daughter spent $18,000 on that wedding. $18,000, and her photos show rain spots on her dress because someone couldn't do their job properly. The crowd had grown, with shoppers from other departments gathering at the edges of the television area. Sarah Chen, a college student who had only stopped by to purchase earbuds, was now filming discreetly on her phone, already composing the Reddit post in her mind, entitled Mom Blames TV Weatherman for Ruining Daughter's Wedding. Aiden maintained his professionalism, though a slight flush had crept up his neck. I completely understand your frustration. Weather events can be disappointing, especially on important days. If I had the power to control the weather rather than just predict it, I assure you I would have given your daughter perfect sunshine. The light joke, intended to diffuse tension, backfired spectacularly. Oh, you think this is funny? Deborah's voice rose to a pitch that made the nearby audio demonstration unit seem quiet by comparison. My daughter was in tears. Her makeup was ruined, and you're standing here making jokes while selling overpriced televisions. Dave stepped between them, his voice low and soothing. Ma'am, I understand you're upset. Why don't we discuss this in my office? I'd be happy to note your concerns and pass them along to the appropriate channels. Deborah's gaze darted between Dave and Aiden, seemingly weighing whether to accept the escape route or double down on her public crusade. The moment hung in the balance, a retail standoff for the ages, as other customers watched with a mixture of secondhand embarrassment and morbid fascination. What nobody noticed was the teenager at the back of the crowd, testing the interactive features on one of the display models, unwittingly about to add another layer of chaos to the already volatile situation. While Deborah continued her tirade, 16-year-old Jason Miller was engrossed in the interactive features of one of the display televisions. Having wandered away from his parents in the laptop section, he had stumbled upon the weather presentation just as the confrontation began. Bored by the adult drama but fascinated by the high-tech remote control in his hands, Jason was cycling through input settings, unaware that he was about to make television history, at least in the annals of Electromart. Ma'am, I completely understand your frustration, Dave was saying, trying yet again to lead Deborah away from the increasingly uncomfortable Aiden Reynolds. You understand nothing, Deborah shot back, her voice rising further. Do you know how long it took to plan that wedding? My daughter wanted an outdoor ceremony since she was 7 years old. 7. And Mr. Weather Expert here, she jabbed a finger toward Aiden, said it would be partly cloudy with a less than 10% chance of precipitation. Aiden opened his mouth to explain the concept of probability once more, but Deborah wasn't finished. Less than 10%. That means 90% chance of no rain. Those are good odds, wouldn't you say? So why? At that precise moment, Jason finally found what he was looking for, the settings menu that controlled all connected displays simultaneously. With the press of a button, he switched the input source on every television in the horseshoe display from the Weather Channel demonstration to the store's security camera feed. And just like that, 28 ultra-high-definition 8K televisions were displaying a crystal-clear surround view of Deborah Wilkins, berating Aiden Reynolds from multiple angles. The effect was instantaneous and disorienting. Deborah's voice trailed off mid-sentence as she caught sight of herself on the wall of screens. Her expression of righteous indignation multiplied dozens of times in stunning clarity. Each television showed a slightly different angle of the scene. Some focused on her reddening face, others on her accusatory fingers still pointed at Aiden, and a few capturing the amused and horrified expressions of the gathered crowd. For 3 seconds, the store fell completely silent. Then someone, later identified as Trevor Jenkins, a part-time employee in the gaming department, failed to suppress a snort of laughter. That single sound broke the spell. Deborah whirled around, taking in the screens with mounting horror, then turned back to face Aiden and Dave. "Is this some kind of joke?" she hissed, her voice now dangerously quiet. "Are you recording me? Is this going to be on your little weather show? Or is this some sick prank to humiliate customers?" "Ma'am, I assure you, this is not intentional," Dave stammered, frantically signaling to Mark to find whoever was controlling the displays. "It's just a technical malfunction with our demonstration units." Jason, finally realizing what he'd done, quietly placed the remote back on its stand and began edging toward the exit, his face a mask of teenage innocence that fooled absolutely no one. Aiden, to his credit, maintained his composure. Years of staying calm while tracking dangerous storm systems on live television had prepared him for this moment better than anyone might have expected. "Ms. Wilkins," he said, using her name for the first time and momentarily startling her, "I sincerely apologize for any role I may have played in your daughter's wedding day not going as planned. Weather forecasting is an imperfect science, and I take full responsibility for the limitations of our predictive models." His calm, professional response seemed to catch Deborah off guard, especially as her own face continued to stare back at her from multiple angles, capturing her every reaction in stunning 8K resolution. "I'd be happy to send a personal apology note to your daughter," Aiden continued, along with a Channel 7 weather station for her new home. "It won't undo the rain on her wedding day, but perhaps it might serve as a small gesture of goodwill." The unexpected offer momentarily derailed Deborah's anger, leaving her blinking in confusion. The crowd watched in suspense, many still recording discreetly as Deborah's expressions cycled through indignation, surprise, and calculation. Sarah Chen, still filming from the periphery, whispered to herself, "Don't fall for it, weather guy. She's just regrouping." Indeed, after a brief moment of consideration, Deborah's eyes narrowed. The temporary confusion was replaced by something more calculating as she glanced from Aiden to the screens displaying her own face, then back to Aiden again. "A weather station," she repeated slowly, a new strategy forming behind her eyes. "Do you really think a little gadget makes up for a ruined wedding album?" The emotional distress, the embarrassment. Dave, sensing the shift in her tone, felt his heart sink. He'd seen this particular glint in customers' eyes before, the realization that they might have leverage, might be able to extract something of value from an uncomfortable situation. "My daughter was devastated," Deborah continued, her voice transforming from outrage to wounded. "And now I'm being publicly humiliated in your store on your televisions." She gestured to the surrounding screens where her performance continued to play out in real time. "I think this calls for more than just a weather station, don't you?" The gathered spectators held their collective breath, waiting to see how this new development would unfold. And from his position near the store exit, Jason Miller, originator of chaos, decided that maybe it was worth sticking around to see what happened next. "I think," Deborah continued, lowering her voice to assure only Aiden and Dave could hear her clearly, "that a fair resolution would involve some form of compensation." Her eyes darted meaningfully toward the highest-end television model in the display. "Perhaps one of these units would help ease the emotional distress I'm currently experiencing." Dave's customer service smile remained fixed, but his eyes had taken on the glazed look of a man calculating potential inventory shrinkage against the cost of an escalating public relations disaster. Before he could respond, the situation took yet another unexpected turn. "Excuse me," came a firm voice from the edge of the crowd. "I believe I might be able to offer some relevant information here." The small assembly parted to reveal an elegant woman in her mid-60s with silver hair pulled back in a neat bun. She walked with the confident bearing of someone accustomed to commanding attention. "I'm Patricia Reynolds," the woman announced, nodding briefly at Aiden, who looked simultaneously relieved and concerned. "This young man is my son, and I happened to be shopping for a new microwave when I overheard this discussion." Deborah blinked, momentarily thrown by the new participant. "More importantly," Patricia continued, "I was the wedding planner for the Taylor Wilson outdoor ceremony at Lakeside Gardens last Sunday." A ripple of whispers ran through the assembled shoppers. Sarah Chen, still filming, muttered a soft plot twist under her breath. Deborah's face went through a rapid series of expressions: confusion, realization, and finally alarm. You are Melissa's wedding planner, Patricia from Perfect Day Planners." "Indeed I am," Patricia confirmed with a crisp nod. "And while I sympathize with your frustration over the brief rain shower during the ceremony, I feel compelled to point out that my records show I personally advised your daughter to rent a contingency tent based on the weather forecast, which did indeed mention a slight chance of precipitation." Dave looked from Patricia to Deborah with the expression of a man witnessing a chess grandmaster make an unexpected move. Patricia wasn't finished. "My records also indicate that it was you, Mrs. Wilkins, who declined the contingency tent, stating, and I quote from my notes, 'We're not wasting $2,000 on a tent we won't need. The weatherman said it'll be fine.'" The security camera feed continued to broadcast the scene on the wall of televisions, now capturing Deborah's face as the color drained from it. Several onlookers had abandoned any pretense of shopping and were openly watching the drama unfold. Furthermore, Patricia added, reaching into her handbag and withdrawing a tablet, "I have the signed waiver acknowledging that neither Perfect Day planners nor any vendors could be held responsible for weather-related disruptions. Your daughter and her fiancé both signed it, as did you as the primary financial contributor." She turned the tablet to display a document with 3 signatures clearly visible at the bottom. Aiden, who had been watching his mother with a mixture of surprise and growing admiration, finally spoke. "Mom, I had no idea you were working the Taylor Wilson wedding." Patricia gave her son a small smile. "Small world, isn't it? Now about those televisions." "This is ridiculous," Deborah interrupted, her voice higher than before. "I'm being ambushed here. This is a setup." "Mrs. Wilkins," Dave interjected, seizing the moment, "I understand this is an emotional situation. Why don't we continue this conversation in my office?" His tone had shifted from placating to firm. Deborah looked around, suddenly aware of just how many people were watching and recording her. The televisions continued their merciless broadcast, displaying her increasingly desperate expression from multiple angles. The spectacle she had created had turned against her in the most unexpected way. "I don't need to go anywhere," she snapped, fumbling for her purse. "This entire store is incompetent. The televisions are clearly malfunctioning, and now I'm being ganged on by employees and their relatives." Jason, still hovering near the exit, chose this moment to approach Mark at the customer service desk. "Mom, I think I might have pressed some buttons on that remote," he admitted in a low voice. "I didn't mean to switch all the TVs to the security feed." Mark stared at the teenager for a long moment before a slow smile spread across his face. "You know what, kid? Don't worry about it. Some things just work out exactly the way they're supposed to." Back at the television display, Deborah was gathering her belongings, her movements jerky with suppressed rage. "I will be calling your corporate office," she announced to no one in particular, "and I will be leaving reviews on every platform available. The way I've been treated today is absolutely unacceptable." Patricia Reynolds watched with the serene expression of someone who had dealt with difficult clients for decades. "Mrs. Wilkins," she said gently, "your daughter's wedding was beautiful despite the brief shower. The photos taken in the natural light after the rain are actually some of the most stunning I've seen this season. The rainbow that appeared during their first dance was, well, the Electromart incident might have remained just another retail war story if not for Sarah Chen's impeccable timing. As a third-year media studies major with a minor in digital anthropology, Sarah had been researching the phenomenon of Karen videos for her thesis on modern public shaming rituals. Finding herself in the middle of a textbook example had been too perfect an opportunity to pass up. By 5:30 p.m. that same day, her video, titled "Karen Loses It on Local Weatherman," gets shook down by his mom's/her daughter's wedding planner, had accumulated over 20,000 views on Reddit's r/EntitledPeople subreddit. By 8 p.m., it had been cross-posted to r/public freakout, r/justice deserved, and half a dozen other communities. The comment sections were filled with a mixture of schadenfreude, amateur psychology, and declarations that Patricia Reynolds deserved some kind of medal. Deborah Wilkins, meanwhile, had spent the afternoon in a state of agitation that her husband Richard had learned long ago to navigate by making himself scarce. Retreating to his workshop in the garage, he quietly sanded a bookshelf, while his wife made a series of increasingly heated phone calls, first to Electromart's corporate office, then to Channel 7's viewer feedback line, and finally to their daughter Melissa, who was still on her honeymoon in Maui. That last call had not gone well. "Mom, you did wake Kate." Melissa's voice had risen to a pitch that forced Deborah to hold the phone away from her ear.